everybody has to find their own journey and their own way to this side of the world, because unfortunately, including myself, we've all been sort of taught that, like, okay, you go to school and you do this and you do that, and then you can go out and then all these things happen, and this is how you're supposed to live. And nobody says, like, go out and buy real estate and become an investor. A few people do, but not everybody. And so I'd like to eventually switch that for the kids, so because they can go get educated in whatever they want. They're going to be smart enough to do anything. So eventually they'll come to our side, because I learned about real estate through my grandmother, and she didn't say go buy real estate. I just knew she owned a lot of real estate. Oh. And that's how she lived, because she took her my grandfather would give her spending money, and she would go and buy single family homes, and she had one commercial property throughout Charleston, South Carolina. And when he died in the early 60s, she just had her Social Security check and her real estate money. It wasn't a lot of money, but that's how she lived. That's how she made her money, and she just kind of did her thing. And she was her own. She was her landlord. She dealt with people her own way, but she was always hustling in that regard. And I knew there was something there, but I never knew. Nobody else in my family did anything like this. Right. Nobody does real estate, and so the idea of thinking like you can go and do this and make a living at it. It's bizarre, right? To me, it was super bizarre, because she came here not so you could buy real estate. She came into this country so you could go to college and become smarter than the rest of us. Yeah. But it's actually crisscross applesauce. It's wrong, right? It's like, no, she was actually smarter than all of us with no education.
100%, yeah.
I went to school for 8 years. I have 2 degrees, and it's like, it's okay, big deal. Right. I knew one of the properties, the commercial property. After she passed, they sold this commercial property, and this was in the late 90s, and I think it sold for over $1 million. It was this commercial property that was like a nightclub. It was like a really bad nightclub. Like, I didn't know she owned the building, but I'd heard about this nightclub
growing up. Your grandma saying she was in the clubs.
but I had heard about this nightclub, but not through the family, just like on bad TV, radio commercials. It was a really tacky club, like. She owned that, oh yeah, they sold this building, and it was hers, and of course it split up between all the family, all the grandkids and great grandkids and everything. It was like it wasn't like it was a huge windfall to the family, but it spread out, right? But it was like cash, like she owned it outright for like 30 years. She owned this thing.
I know that.
It's just
100%.
taking money, and of course commercial buildings, like those kind of buildings, like you don't even have to do what we have to do. All you have to do is make sure it doesn't leak water. The tenant takes care of everything else.
And she had no debt on it?
Nothing. She had no debt.
Wow. Legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy, right?
Waking up to success. Now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee. The real grind.